What's going on, guys? My name is Ryan, and today on the channel we're going to be talking about Venom The Last Dance, which is supposedly the last film in the franchise. If this is the last film, is it really that great, and should you be checking it out? Is it a good finale? Not really. Eddie and Venom are on the run, hunted by both of their worlds, and with the net closing in, the duo are forced into a devastating decision that will bring the curtains down on Venom and Eddie's last dance. The film stars Tom Hardy, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Juno Temple, Peggy Lu, and Rhys Ifans, and was directed by Marcel, and this is her directorial debut. However, she was the writer of the first two Venom films. Now, I know a lot of people have a lot of thoughts on the Venom films. I know a lot of people really hate that second film, but I absolutely love these films. I love the first and the second film just equally the same. Probably like in the first film, just a little bit slightly more, but I actually really did enjoy that second film. So when they announced Venom The Last Dance, I was like, I'm game to check this film out. And I was hoping the film would be another great one that I could actually enjoy. Now, I really do love Eddie Brock and Venom and them just kind of bantering up and just like that buddy type relationship that they have with each other. And in this film, you find them on the run in Mexico City. Apparently, they had murdered someone. You have this creature that is going after them for a specific reason. And then you also have this other Captain Rex Strickland, who is a soldier who is running this encampment at Area 51 where they are studying other symbiotes. And you have Dr. Payne, who is played by Juno Temple. They want to learn more about the symbiotes, and then they may bring in Venom and bring him down. So you have them really being on the run, Eddie Brock and Venom, throughout this film. I think there's a lot more comedy in this film. Favorite scenes for me was the horse scene. Also, there's a scene where they're bringing down these gangsters and they're trying to free these dogs, and I actually really did love that scene because it really did make me laugh, and there's a little bit of violence with that scene as well, which was really great. I also like the fact that when they meet this family, you have Rhys Ifans. He is wanting to discover Area 51 and discover aliens, and I actually love when they're actually in the van together and they're just kind of having conversations together. Even though during this movie there isn't a big force that's really going after these characters, I still did enjoy this movie to a point. I do think the narrative is kind of sloppy here. The main villain, Noel, he's in another dimension, so to speak, and he is chained up, and there's a reason for the reason he is chained up, and they give a reason for that, and you have this, obviously, this creature that is going after Eddie Brock and Venom. And I wish we got a little bit more with this main villain, because I felt even though they had an explanation for that, I just felt like it was very weak. And I feel like the story overall here, even though this is The Last Dance, it just doesn't really feel like it's an epic conclusion to all three films, wrapping it all into one basically in the conclusion of the story. It just doesn't feel that way. It feels like a separate film, just like from all the other films. It doesn't feel much of a continuation other than the fact that you have Venom and Eddie Brock here on the run from the events that happened with Carnage. But other than that, like from a story perspective, it is kind of weak. It feels like they just kind of came up with this very like 10 minutes and they were like, you know what, let's throw this on the screen. We have the narrative kind of in the background. But at the same time, there are fun moments in this film. I do feel like there is some comedy moments that I actually enjoyed, and I think there are parts in here that Venom can change into different characters, like he can change into like a fish. And then there's just other things like with the horse that's in the trailer that I really did like about the film. And I think those kind of special moments make it a very entertaining film. I also think within the last 30 minutes of this film, the action is really good. There's this one bike scene where Eddie Brock does like a flip up in the air, and I was like, wow, that is pretty cool. And just some of that action scenes towards the last half of the film, it is exciting, and it definitely brings some really good action to the screen. Definitely one of those popcorn flicks as you're just watching this film kind of unfold. I do think at times the pacing of the film could have been a little bit better, but I think even though there is pacing issues at certain points in the film, I did enjoy myself quite a bit. Besides the narrative not being all that great, I do feel like at times there is quite a bit of padding in this film to really get to the action scenes within the final act of this film. The scene in Vegas where Venom and Eddie Brock are gambling in the casino, and the dance scene with Miss Chen, they do show this in the trailer, so that's not a spoiler. I do feel like there was definitely some padding with that, in which we really didn't need that, but at the same time I get it because it's Venom The Last Dance. Venom is dancing with Miss Chen, so it makes sense in that aspect. The whole family aspect and them wanting to go to Area 51, did we really need that? Not really, but I think it was trying to showcase Venom's empathy towards other people because he wants to eat humans at points in the movies, and the fact that he doesn't want to eat this family, it shows that he does have some kind of empathy and some kind of feelings. That's kind of where I really gathered as to why they actually included that in the film. And even in the third act, there was an emotional moment that I won't spoil, but when they actually roll the footage of certain things with Eddie Brock and Venom, I was like, wow, like, you know, I got a little bit emotional with it because I've been invested in all these movies, and I understand that these movies aren't for everyone. None of them have like amazing plots or anything, and they're not groundbreaking movies or anything, but I've enjoyed my time with both these characters, so I was really much invested, even though the fact of this movie isn't the most strongest plot or the greatest narrative from a critic's standpoint. I had a good time with this movie overall, despite the fact that it does have its flaws. I can kind of overlook that because I had fun watching the movie overall. So as far as the score for this film, I would give it a 3 out of 5. I think it's one of those films that if you really love these characters, you're probably going to enjoy it and maybe overlook the fact that the plot isn't that strong. But if you haven't really enjoyed these films as a whole, especially the last one, I don't really know if this film will really change anything as far as you liking the film or really loving the epic conclusion that it should have, that it really doesn't have. And I think the biggest question is this really the final film that we're going to get from both these characters? They say it is, but is it really, is the biggest question that I have. And there is a mid-credit scene and there is an end-credit scene as well, so stick around to check that out as well if you do go check out the film. So 3 out of 5 is what I'm going to rate this film. I had a good enough time with it. It is the weakest out of the 3 for me, but I will definitely go back and check it out at some point, as I do love both characters, and that is good enough for me. And the fact that it does have action within that third act, it's enough to really keep me engaged for the most part. So overall, it is a movie that has its flaws, and I understand that, but I enjoyed it for what it was. So what did you guys think about Venom The Last Dance? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you just think it was kind of meh? Leave any and all comments down below. And what would you rank these films? So for me, I would rank it just in order as they came out. First, second, and third. The first one is still my favorite. The second one I still enjoy, but I still love that first one just a little bit more. And this one is definitely my least favorite. Thank you guys for watching, and I will talk to you guys soon.